The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects, nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.
Good morning, everyone. Today, advertising is all pervasive. We are so attuned to advertising that it is hard to imagine a world without advertisements. And to work in an advertising industry is a dream come true. What are the prospects and opportunities and how one should prepare for it is the focus of our session today. And for that, we have invited two well-known industry experts, Mr. Alok Bhute and Mr. Shashank Rawat. I welcome you all to this morning session on prospects of advertising as a part of session 3 of series in Career in Media series CMS 2021. But before we go about the session, let me invite our Dean, Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, to introduce the session. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Krishna. It's indeed a pleasure that we have two senior persons, senior professional from the advertising industry, Mr. Alok Bhute and Mr. Shashank Rawat, to be with us this morning. Normally, we have a 5-day teaching session, and Saturdays we keep open for having these kind of sessions. But then students are normally in a mood, relaxing mood on Saturdays. But still, those who are keen in learning new things about advertising and those who are really concerned as to what they will be doing after landing in the market with their bachelor's degree, because we offer in our institute, we offer bachelor's program in journalism and mass communication. So these are the undergraduate students, but definitely a number of students are interested in directly approaching the industry, though there is again a sizable number who is always interested in taking up the higher studies in advertising. And I believe the resource person, the expert, can also touch upon this as to what is the right time to enter the industry after this graduation, or the student needs some more specialized training, because today we are talking about advertising. So what are those areas, specialized areas, wherein the students need to excel, and then some more studies or some more training is required for them to join the industry? So I believe all these questions will be answered to the students, and they will be better placed as far as their preparations is concerned to join the industry. So I welcome both our advertising professionals, and over to you, Krishna.
Thank you so much, sir. So, as we go about the session, let me introduce our guest. Today we have Mr. Alok Bhute with over 10 years of experience in the advertising communication industry across markets like India, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. He has been responsible for devising end to end effective marketing plans and brand communication strategies for brands like Google Pay, Garnier, The Laughing Cow in India, Samsung, Dutch Lady, Romano, McDonald's, Procter& and Gamble, Philip Morris International in Vietnam. Mr. Bhute has been winner of many local, regional, and global awards at AMES, WARC, MMA, Smarties, and U2 for the brand work on Pantaloon, Samsung, Dutch Lady, Procter& and Gamble, Durex, Infa, and Coca-Cola. An alumnus of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, Mr. Alok has worked with organizations like Densu AG's Network Vietnam in the capacity of Director Strategy and Planning. As Senior Manager with VML and R India, he has also worked with Indigo Consulting India as Consultant Digital Strategist, with Leo Burnett, Vietnam, as Senior Strategic Planner. At present, he is Head of Strategic Planning with Any Mind Group Vietnam, based out of Ho Chi Minh City. Joining him in this Zoom platform is Mr. Shashank Rawat, who is a hybrid planner and believes in creating ecosystems for brands where consumers engage with not through their minds but through their spirits. According to him, as ideas can't be explained in just one format, so he likes to write music, scripts, make melodies, sketch frames, and pen poetries. An alumnus of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, Mr. Rawat started his career with Bates and Partners, became senior planning executive with Grey Group, worked as account director with DNH Blurb Communication. Currently, he is working as senior creative brand strategist with ARM Worldwide. Mr. Rawat has won gold at DGX Awards by AdGully for Just EMI campaign of Bajaj FinServ. He has initiated campaigns for MTV, Memstars, Organ Dan, Home Games, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Andolan initiatives, handled National Geographic, Big FM, GSK, and VLCC Tang, Holiday Inn, and Holiday Inn Express like brands. I welcome both Mr. Alok and Mr. Shashank to the session 3 of the Careers in Media series, CMS 2021. The session will be followed by question and answers. Students are requested to write down their questions in the chat box and also to write to the host of this program. Now, over to you, Shashank and Alok.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Hope you guys, first and foremost, uh, you're happy, you're safe, you're healthy, given the circumstances that we are. It's really, really happy. And it's really satisfying to see that, or to know that everyone is in a safe place. So, first and foremost, I really, really hope that everyone's safe and healthy. And as ma'am has explained that past 10 years, and also sir said that what all do you need to work in advertising? I'll answer that question first, that you don't need at the same time you need everything. What do I mean by that? You'll get the answer at the end of the session, because there's so much to learn in advertising, and one of the reasons why it still works for both of us is that it makes you learn things which you always wanted to learn and still pays money for it. So there are not a lot of industry which do that. So for instance, if you want to be a filmmaker, you can be a filmmaker. If you want to learn music, and if you have a brand who's saying like, I want to make a song, then learn music and help them to understand how that song, or for that matter, that melody will work out. So there are so many things that advertising has personally gifted me, and I can speak for Alok as well. And it's still fueling us to do a lot with. However, that is a different topic of conversation or a lecture any day else, that what all can be done in advertising. Today, we'll just talk about what advertising is.
Yeah, so yeah, I was saying like like we have put together a formal presentation just to take you through all. But before that, I echo with what Shashank has said. In these tough times where everything doesn't seem good, I think we try to bring some inspiration for you to keep things keep your hopes alive. And I also feel like there is a famous phrase, like when there is peace in the world, then you can prepare better for war. And I think the moment the lockdown goes away, I think there will be it's like floodgates open, and everyone wants to go out, rush there, and prove their mettle. And I think in order to pursue that, we are just try to figure out some things. It might be tips for some of you, it might be inspiration for some of you, but it's more like a guidance that you can equip yourself with. Maybe you can get exposed to those kind of things, that what else can be done, and also maybe prepare yourself better as the things go well soon in the future. So that's what I want to say. I'm also really grateful for ma'am and the institute for giving us this opportunity to share something what we have learned so far when we started as a fresher, as a intern, I think almost in the same agency, me and Shashank, and then how it started from there with no experience, no exposure, as such, what we can say, being a fresher. And then from there till here, so I think we are just try to capture those things that we have learned along the way and bring it to you here. So yeah, so I think Shashank will lead the first part, and then I'll talk about the second part. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Alok. So yeah, let's start. Advertising, what it is, how it functions, and how you can enter. If you right now look at Google, ask them why Google, tell me what's advertising all about. It'll give you a very plain jig definition of it. That's a piece of information in a newspaper, on television, a picture on a wall that tries to persuade people to buy something to interest them in a new job. Agreed, but it removes the color out of it. So what do I mean by that is that everyone thinks that you get some words, you get some visuals, you add them, you create a persuasive message, and then take it through a bus called media. And that is what all you receive. That is a perspective which you will always have from outside. However, advertising is not that. Advertising is the art of turning products and brands who enter and stay in your life as humans. What do I mean by that is just for 1 second, every one of you, just think of that one brand which either you have been using for the past 10 years, you aspire to use or wear. It can be a perfume, it can be a motorcycle, it can be anything. Why does it attract you? Why does a 12-year-old, for that matter, a 14-year-old who doesn't know how to ride a motorcycle is attracted to a Harley Davidson? He won't get his license till 18. Why is he attracted like that? Why does a Bullet, for that matter, a Royal Enfield, suddenly get a name Bult, for that matter, in Punjab? It has a cult following. It's not just an art of selling products. Why, at the end of the day, a Lux is a Lux, a Dove is a Dove, or for that matter, a Lifebuoy is a Lifebuoy? Why does it happen that when I enter a McDonald's, which sells burgers at the end of the day, but it gives me a childlike feeling, it makes me become a child again? It's because advertising, or for that matter, brands create those stories which you're attracted to. And then you become friends with them. It's the art of creating stories which resonate with consumers. It's much more beyond the product. It's much more beyond the client. It's much more beyond the physical aspect of it. It's a very big saying in advertising that brands are created by agencies, but people own them. So a McDonald's might be creating something else, but how people take it is different. A person has a Harley Davidson tattoo on himself. The guy who had made that name would have never have thought that it would become something that somebody would carry a tattoo of a motorcycle on his arm. That's the power of advertising. That's the power of creating stories which become part of us. And then this it progresses into different things. It grows with you. And that was all about advertising, which till the date used to carry us forward. So from the days of Bajaj saying Hamara Bajaj, and Nirma saying washing powder Nirma, दूध सी सफेदी निर्मा से आई, that was pure advertising. You create a TVC जो आप अपने टीवी पे देखते थे, a newspaper, आप एक मैसेज डालते थे looking at the market, what people want, what the consumer wants, and you used to create an ad. However, things have changed. Now you're into marketing communications, and marketing communications is a huge different area. Like advertising is part of it. Then you have PR, then you have influencer management, then you have social media, then you have digital marketing. Just think of this thing, that what would have happened to the person who was handling the crisis management team for Maggie when the news would have come that, sir, suddenly there's news outside regulating on WhatsApp that Maggie has poison in it. It has nothing to do with advertising. Somebody found it and it spread like wildfire. How do you control it? That's also part of marketing communication. So the gambit is huge. And people always ask that if the gambit is so huge, where do I get a part of it? But before coming to that, I just wanted to show you that what happens in the life of an advertising guy. You may have different fields, you may have different interests. However, it boils down to three things. The first is planning part of it, where most of our understanding, me and Alok, has come from. That how do you understand the consumer to its core? Best example, we always say we are the youngest country in this world. Average age is around 24 to 30. However, just imagine a 18-year-old in a Delhi university, in an IP university, is very different from a Mumbai university, is very different from a guy in Chaudhry Charan Singh University in Meerut. All under the same age group, all youth. But everyone has a different way of looking at life. Everyone has a different phone. Everyone follows a different Instagram page, although they are all under the gambit of youth. So भाई इतना जब variety है हमारी country में, इतने cultures, इतनी languages, and then you have so many influences happening, how do you understand the consumer to whom you are going to create the story for? So the thing is that you can be a lot of things in advertising. You can be a writer. You can be a guy who likes to know more about illustrations, who knows how to create a visual world. He is into tech, like how, and he can create stories using technology. He can be a numbers guy. He likes numbers. He likes data. So how do I create stories using data? And how do I read people and how do I influence them using their behavior? So we're going to take you through one by one, like what has a writer done in advertising? What has an illustrator done in advertising? How has technologists helped brands create stories? And first we'll start that the first thing, that creativity that is said is only with writers. That is not at all true. Creativity is everyone else. However, writers have the power to create stories with those words. We'll show you one example, and this is one of the most iconic ad of all time, which was written for Rolls-Royce. And this actually changed the way copywriting, which is the writing department of an advertising agency, was seen. At 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this new Rolls-Royce comes from the electric clock. A few words, but they suddenly create a world of their own. And this line is just magic. It created a different, people started looking at advertising for a different lens after reading this. You can check it out, the 60 miles ad of Rolls-Royce, and you can, because earlier it was a long copy format used to write paragraphs, not that anymore. However, from print, we went to TVCs. And this is one brand which is called Mumbai Mirror, which is a newspaper which had launched and had been in a fight with Midday in Bombay. It's a tabloid. It's not your 24-page full newspaper. It's a tabloid which you can carry anywhere, and to give you, it's almost like a newspaper in short, if that I was tell you. However, how does it present itself? By not calling itself newspaper. Similarly, whenever you get the time, one of the best brands out there, Nike, just do it, 3 words, and they have created the universe out of those 3 words. Whenever you get this time, find Nike Colin Kaepernick ad and look at this video, and you will see how just 3 words can create a universe of its own. That's the power of writing. Similarly, you have words and then you'll have images. How can I create a story using images? One of the most vibrant brands of all time that we've grown up with, Coca-Cola. Like, it has created an image in your head that whenever you see red, somewhere in your back of your head, you'll find happiness blinking, tuck, 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 tuck. That's the power of it. And it's not a 1 year or a 1 day exercise. It has taken us 70 to 80 years. If someone just thought, sir, vending machine के अंदर क्या होता है? क्या इस पे कुछ कर सकते हैं? And like, yeah, why not? And step by step, how is a Coke made? How is it refrigerated? From the science, they created art, and beautifully done. Again, one more ad which I want you to see after this film is Make Every Art Count. Again, Nike, beautifully done on showing the spirit of cricket on, not in stadiums, but in our gullies. How is that been captured? And this has been made using real, not photography from for that person, a professional lens, but from your phones for that matter, which is very personal to you. In the paucity of time, I'm going to make it forward, but please do check this out. And this was all about writing and illustration. And then when our world with technology is moving, then how can technology create impact in it? Like, I am a guy who loves tech to write code. I am a guy who writes, and I understand how an app is done. I understand the back end and the front end works of it. I understand how can I create servers, and I can put my message across into a cloud or everything for that matter. Can I create a story out of it? Yes, you can. And Alok, you want to take this forward?
Yeah, so yeah, as Shashank was saying, like being in advertising and cannot stay away from technology, because we are the ones who has to be at the forefront of the trend, because trend is about people and culture. And this one, as we are talking like technology, it's like a gamer, right? Initially, if you have a passion in games, you don't have much to do in advertising, because the world wasn't so attuned to games. This is so amazing, like the brand which, and as Shashank was saying, like it's about creating a story. Now, what's your narrative? That's the question, right? And a brand that wants to be so attuned to people, to their consumers, just simply telling the message that Wendy's doesn't have a frozen beef, and tapping into a trend of like a game like this, Fortnite, creating a player by yourself, putting that player in the game, and then destroying the freezers. That's the message. And the whole process of creating that, you really need to understand games, otherwise you cannot do it. And that's what technology is helping people, because the message, the narrative can stay the same, but the execution of it has to be very attuned to the changing times, to the changing trends and culture. Yeah, and there are a number of examples. You can take a look at it. Then there is the next one. It's like if you have something to do with numbers, you are good with maths, you're good with statistics, you want to explore not just like research, but also more like interpreting that data and doing something with it. And if you are part of advertising for that matter, or marketing communication, then you can create some magic. And just the next example really talks about that, how you can do it. This is an Indian one. So the point here is the advertising as brands always comes up with a challenge, right? And being a marketing consultant or communication specialist, they expect agencies to solve their problems. And when the media strategists always do a channel planning, like what channel we should air this ad and all that, what if there is no channel to reach? You create a channel, right? And that's the kind of thing or possibility, if you can think as a client, or try to solve a problem, and there is a like a n number of possibilities that you can come up with. If you are really interested in, let's say, number crunching, how it works, what's the ROI, if you can put that things together, or even if you have interest, then you can at least start somewhere. This other example, I don't think we will go in detail, but I will tell you quickly what it is about. And this is from Poland, where of course there was what do you say, the sex education which happens in most of the countries is right, like many countries, they are still conservative, and the image of women as well is coming from somewhere else, right, which is not like, which was very famous. And what they did is, in order to change that perspective, they bought the entire magazine and change it with powerful stories of women achievers, so as to change the image about women and how men should pursue them in a positive light. And suddenly the conversation, which was very skewed, which was very, what do you say, not getting the enough limelight, suddenly came in picture because it was so provocative and so breakthrough. So that is also a part, like as a person who understands the number game, how numbers you can use to make behavior change. I think that is also a role, or that is also a skill you can, if you have it, then, and if you can want to pursue it, it doesn't necessarily that you can only do maths. You can also come in advertising. Yeah. The next we are talking about human influencer and reader. If okay. So I was saying, like, if you are into psychology and you really want to, if you really want to learn or are learning like how human behaves, and you have a place in advertising, you can create some. Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can create something like this, where you literally knew that how you can use the their current behavior to show them a mirror and change the behavior in favor of a brand who is really struggling because there is some kind of opposite view happening around it, and that's how you can really make a difference. Yeah, so maybe we'll skip this. You can take a look. This is Three Wolves, the Guardian commercial. Three pigs. Yeah, sorry, three
So
pigs and a
like,
wolf. Yeah.
yeah, just like when Alok had said, what's your narrative? And you have to create a story. So everyone remembers this story that we have heard in our childhood, Three Pigs and the Wolf. Now, this is a global story that everyone has heard. How do you take it for a brand and turn it out? Like these guys, what they did was to create, to push their message forward that news is not what you hear it. It can be a lot of opinions. And this is what is happening. Like news today is not just fact. Twitter has a news opinion. Somebody else has a news opinion. There are millions of articles, millions of YouTubers who have become journalists by their own selves, which we call citizen journalists. So they wanted to put this fact out, and they took this story of three pigs and they created a narrative. What if the wolf was killed by these three pigs and there was a conspiracy against these pigs? So they took a story, turned it around, and then made people react to it. And what also happens is like you saw in the previous campaign, the Rom campaign, you challenge, you have the power to challenge people. Like this was a campaign which challenged the national ego of people. There's this film called No, and it's a Chilean film which is about it's an actual true story that an advertising agency created a campaign to throw out a dictator, that there was an election coming and they created an advertising campaign to throw out the dictator. How it worked out, it's an advertising agency which turned the way elections are done or democracy is taken in that country. So advertising can be taken in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So I think we were talking is basically what is happening, and we also want to talk what is going to be the next, or what is happening.
Alok, your
Yeah, bits and pieces across, and we also want to touch upon what's the next, which you can really make a difference with. So I'll just talk about a couple of examples, which we call it cause marketing. Basically, the example you might have seen this the Fearless Girl statue, which has been put up in the Wall Street, the bull, to make a statement that she's not afraid. Being a little girl is not afraid, which is about challenging the status quo, challenging the establishment. And that is kind of a new way of advertising where you stick yourself with a cause. We also call it sometimes purpose. And then we try to make a point or make a statement and thereby you want to attract people towards us because you as a brand believe in certain philosophy. And that is what is happening. There are a few examples like this one, which is example. Maybe we could quickly talk about it, maybe just the first part of it. So it talks about, you want to talk about road safety. How do you make people aware? Because the common road safety campaigns are like blank spot for people, and they are not paying enough attention. So they have designed a person who can survive these car crashes. And if you really want to survive a car crash, you have to be like this. And if you're not, then drive safe, right? That's the message. But in order to make that message so powerful, they created this structure. They created this kind of a mannequin who's like a lookalike person with the sculptors, the technologies, the science, the scientist, in order to come with this, just to make a point and just to come across, tell you the message that be safe on road, drive safe. You can also take a look at this, like there are potholes on the street and the government is not taking care of anything. And how do you shake the government up? By choosing those people who are in power and make kind of a art or their portrait around the pothole, because that's what these political people or the powerful people care about. They care about their face and their image, right? And that's what they have done. So that's another at it. Yeah. The next is also marketing as a product. So the next thing which is happening is marketing as a product. And now, like, because as I said, like we are moving from the typical traditional advertising way of doing to bring across the message in a most innovative way. And now also advertising agencies are not just communicators. We are also creating product, which is not a typical product. Like this first example of Saregama Caravan, you already know. Saregama was a dying music platform, right? They were dying music agency. They have the most classical rights, the rights of most classical music, which we call evergreen. Agency went to them and they said, if you want to be relevant, we have to bring that collection up in some sort of device, and they created this. Bajaj V, it's the agency who spotted an opportunity that the Vikrant ship, INS Vikrant, who served for many decades for the Indian Navy, now is going to be scrapped. And they said, we can use that metal and build a motorbike out of it. Or even Samsung, the headband, which is they wanted to create something meaningful as a product to just tell the brand story that we are about technology and we care about people. And they created that headband which can measure the injuries in contact games and give the medical help as soon as possible, because if these injuries get unnoticed or take some time, then the player can die. Yeah. The next, like, how do you market your product without advertising? And that's also one of the things that is happening, because there is also some kind of conversation that, oh, there are some clients who thinks advertising sometimes can be a waste of time, waste of money and effort. And there are enough examples, like OnePlus, who launched their product and still successfully sold the products through the power of community, not spending much on advertising, but creating communities and creating that exclusivity and scarcity, where people had to line up to get that product, and then they became the ambassadors to convey that product to other people. And that was their story. Or Daniel Wellington, a watch who just used influencer on Instagram to create more than $1 million in just 2 years. And that's the power that what we are saying, that's where the marketing communication industry, not just advertising, marketing communication in general is moving towards. And I think if you have any, like if you're into social media, or if you're into tech, if you're into psychology, if you're into sports, any passion you have, if you bring that passion with certain skills that can be useful in this business, then you really can make a difference. And as being students of media, advertising, marketing, we always been thrown at some P's and some C's. So we also thought like there are like, if there are 6 P's and 1 E, what we are calling itself is like that. Those are the skills you need if you want to really enter and stay and really be successful in this field. So you really need to be passionate, right? There is like, it's not a job anymore, and it's not like a typical job that you want to do. It's something that if you don't have passion, then you will find it, because there is no money in the beginning. So you will find it, what I'm doing here. Perspective, you really need to have a perspective on things. It cannot be like, if you have no opinion, then it's like you don't exist. And if you really want to make a point, then you really need to bring a new perspective. Perseverance, yes, it's not like you enter and you get successful, you get calm. No, that's not going to happen. You really need to toil hard and stick to what you know and what you can know more about this business to be to reach somewhere. Patience, this is the game of patience. Like, as if you're patient, if you don't want like success overnight, it might happen, but that overnight will take maybe 5 years before it happens. So it's about patience, it's about practice, as I said, like and as Shashank was also saying, it's like constant evolution. The things has been changing, people has been changing, technology, new things is happening. You really need to learn new skills and then maybe practice. People, it's about people. I have an idea, but if nobody else is there to take that idea forward, then that idea dies over there. So you need people who believe in your idea, and you really need to have those skills so that you can make other people understand and believe in your idea. And empathy, because at any point of time, whoever you are, creative planner or account manager, you really need to have empathy. You really need to understand or have the pulse of people, because people are our kind of target audience, what we call our consumers. Yeah, so those are like six P's and 1 E, what we call. And to enter in this business, I think some top line things we have, like display that you are an interesting person. Right, whenever you write a CV or you make your cover letter, or even you make your portfolio, you really need to show that if you are interesting, then only among 20, 30, 40 CVs that the account or the department in charge will receive, if we cannot find that interesting spark, then it's like, we don't want, like, advertising in general is not for normal people. Be shameless and use your connections, right? It's nothing to like getting in an agency is a hard thing, but like if you are nobody or if you don't know anyone, so there is nothing wrong if you know, if you have a friend, if you have someone who can help you to get in connection. Use LinkedIn as much as possible, create a nice profile, write your details, all those things you know about, you can put it and use connections, send connection requests. There is nothing wrong with it. And don't look for a dream job. There is nothing called dream job in advertising. Look for a job, look for, we say like, look for an internship. That's the basic. Internship is, and I would say look for internship in a renowned agency, because renowned agency will give you that exposure and platform. And also if you are good, you'll be picked up very fast by someone who will say, maybe you can work in my team. And even if it is, I don't know what's the market in India right now, but even if it is unpaid, take it, because that's the exposure that you're gonna get in 2 months, where you will be able to make an impression tell other people that you are something worthy enough to be invested and given a chance. And from there, like me and Shashank, we started as an intern. Like even Shashank was, I think, grad and postgrad with IMC. I was like engineer, MBA, 2 years experience. Then I came to IMC. Then I started as an intern because for me, and I want to start and I want to learn. And if you have that learning attitude at the beginning rather than I know everything, then there is this
Alok will not order.
which I think you already know about, that this guy who wanted to intern for Cred and made this amazing video, tagged the founder on the LinkedIn and got his internship and got the placement. So I think that's of course not everyone can do it. We haven't done it. It's okay. I'm saying that's the kind of epitome of thing or effort you can put in, and you can keep that as a marker for you to even try. But I think in order to get in, I would say it's difficult, but it's not impossible. It's difficult, and in order to, like, if you know people, then it's very easy. If you don't know people, then it's difficult. Yeah. So I think
Just adding on to what Alok said, like the biggest asset of an advertising agency or this industry in general, and you can take it from the perspective of just creating ads, creating stories, PR, digital agencies, people who code, people who create website architectures or app architectures. There's only one resource which is heavily invested on. It's human beings. We are not an agency where we have big machineries. We are not an agency where we have a factory to work on. So you are the biggest asset. People are the biggest asset, and that is how people. And that is why when you work with people who are bigger assets in this industry, you learn so much. Like me and Alok was so lucky to work with some really great people who taught us so many things. Like sending us to our bosses used to send us to villages in Haryana to take interview of a sarpanch. We used to sit with farmers in their farms to understand why do they buy a tractor which they don't buy. So for that matter, just an example, like Massey, Ferguson Massey is a very big tractor brand. It has a cult status, which you will only understand when you go there and somebody says, ki, I asked them, ki, why do you buy a Massey tractor when you don't even know what all the features are? A farmer will not know what so deep about the architecture, for that matter, the framework of a tractor. He said, sir, घी हो तो देसी और tractor हो तो messy. So that is how the cult of that brand has been formed, and you won't actually understand that sitting in offices. You only understand when you're with people. So how do you tackle that? That is when you understand what the problem is. So we were very lucky because we used to go out there and so do that. Find people on LinkedIn, try to impress them like this guy did, and learn. And when you learn, you will become those assets, and then you will be indispensable. Wherever you go, there will always be an opportunity knocking for you that are you free? Can we hire you? Would you like to consult with us? And the opportunities are endless. Like for that matter, just one example, Tor Myron, who heads global marketing of Apple, the global marketing head of Apple, was a creative director for an advertising agency. So from advertising, he is now heading all the communication you see of Apple is that guy. And going forward, just one thing which I wanted to say, that whatever efforts you put, whatever passion you have, understand this. And if you don't buy into it, then I would suggest that don't get into this world. Is that whatever we do, whatever stories we create, whatever narratives we put is to solve a business problem. Otherwise, it's just a line which is like, share, and subscribe. If it doesn't solve a business problem, you will not grow. So a Thanda matlab Coca-Cola worked because it suddenly made Coca-Cola not the foreign brand it was. It was like Thanda hai to Coca-Cola hai. Simple as that. So it has to solve a business problem. And then you can always become a Shujit Sarkar or a Juhi Chaturvedi, make a wiki donor, but they also started by solving business problems. Where you take it as a different thing, but to survive and grow, understand that we are in the business of applied arts. Alok, you want to add on to?
No, I think we already 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can answer everything in the
Yeah.
question answer. Yeah.
So that was the long and short of when I said that you have to not learn anything and at the same time learn everything, because advertising will give you all the opportunities in this world. So yeah, are you interested? That's the question we want to send you with. Thanks.
And are you interested?
You're open now for my question.
That's all from us, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Shashank and Alok, for such an interesting, insightful session. In fact, some of the ads were really eye-catching, eye-opener, and I'm sure they must have made our students to sit back and think, and also the perspective that you have given, that how they should prepare themselves and what they should look for when they think about making advertising as a career. Thank you so much. Now the house is open for questions. I've already got many questions lined up. There is one very interesting question that has come from one of my colleague only. She is Mudita, and she is asking, is visual imagery and metaphor the new devices for satire and political advertising? I think Shashank can answer this.
So political advertising, for that matter, depends on a lot on the product itself. What happened in 2014, and it was a change for that matter, that BJP was the first party which actually took political advertising to a newer level by making digital videos and by making WhatsApp videos and by creating those 20 seconders and 25 seconders. BJP was the first part. However, political advertising is just a tool to sell the product. Narendra Modi's success depends, and for that matter, if you look at any political ad right now, and I'm talking mostly of videos and prints and AV as a format, they're not so much into creating you a visual identity which would stick in your mind, for that matter. They will never create a Coke or a Pepsi, or for that matter, an Apple kind of a world. Like Apple is minimalistic, for that matter. Whenever we see an Apple ad, it speaks in just 3 words and creates a universe of its own. So political advertising is still on the same premise as it was always, which is how well can I sell the politician? So whether it's Arvind Kejriwal, Narendra Modi, Rahul Gandhi, and also political advertising now is getting into a new field, which is into advertising which does not have a source. So which is memes, for that matter. A lot of, and this is not particularly, I'm talking about agencies which are doing it, but parties themselves are heavily investing. And this is what you see into narratives, how they are made. Like suddenly a Twitter trend follows after a news, and suddenly memes, for that matter, or short videos are getting fulfilled. So it's not about as much as visual narratives, but how much can you take, because politics is all about gossips. Memes are the most natural way of putting those gossips along and those pieces of information along. So it's not about creating those visual narratives, because best example is, आप किसी भी ad को देख लीजिए, कांग्रेस का हो, बीजेपी का हो, आपका हो, the leader is standing, and फिर जो जितने छोटे छोटे लीडर होते हैं उनकी फोटो छोटी छोटी होती जाती होगी. तो बीजेपी के ad में सबसे बड़े मोदी जी होंगे, अमित शाह, and then the regional parties इनकी छोटे छोटे होते जाएंगे. Same is the case with Congress and all. So visual identity remains the same. It's about who is the biggest leader and all. However, how is that leader being projected in multiple facets? That is what is going forward with political advertising as of now. Answer that question.
So Tanishka, one of our students, she is asking this question, that what happens when our ad campaign is misunderstood by the audience and it becomes controversial? So how should we, what all should we do about it?
Hello?
Yeah. Is-
Alok, you're not audible.
So I'm saying that if it is misunderstood, then of course you really need to clarify. Uh, there are so many controversies which is happening, like the latest example of Tanishq ad, and that was a controversy where it was misunderstood, with a particular religious girl marrying into another community, another religion, family, and then people are misunderstood as, oh, they are trying to show this, that particular religion is very accepting versus their own religion, and that was a controversy. And there are so many controversies which has happened, and religion is a big thing. So Tanishq, what, and actually Clyde, he was part of that agency who worked on it. And the thing that they did it because it was clearly misunderstood, and it has a religious angle to it. They took it down, and I think that's the best brands can do, because brands, they really need to, unless you are that kind of a brand who are willing to take the bullets. And like what happened to Nike, when they took a stand, people started burning their shoes, and that actually helped, because they were right, and they had, I would not say that word, but they had those guts to stand against, and stand for the truth. They did it. So I think it also depends on the brand. But if it is misunderstood, you can clarify. But if you think that there is no window to clarification, then it's better to take it down. If you are not that kind of a brand, if you are not willing to take chances or a risk of losing the brand, because it can go either way. And in this world, there is nothing which is in between. People are extreme. Either it's yes or no. And we are living in that world of duality where there is only like one answer to a question. So if you're not that kind of a person or a brand, then it's better to take it. Yeah.
Just adding on to the same thing, like it's not just advertising which are misunderstood. Like try go back and try to write something which the world doesn't agree on your Facebook status or an Instagram story, and look at the backlash that you will get. So opinions today are not anywhere in the gray area. It's either in the black or the whites. However, whatever, if you know what your consumer groups requires, for that matter, Tanishq knew very well that even if my ad goes down, because once something goes internet, it never goes down. So even if they took it off from their YouTube pages and apologize for it, somewhere they know that their consumer group, which is the more liberal part of country, which understands the differences, looked at it, appreciated it, and now have Tanishq in their head as a brand which they connect with. So as Alok said rightly, if you know what you're selling, and if you have done your research very well and you have created that message and you stand by it, it's most importantly is you stand by it, then you can't take it, then you can't take it down, because misinterpretations will happen. The best example is Mintra. Mintra has been there for the past 6 to 7 years, 10 years. It was misunderstood by someone and people latched onto it. Did Mintra have what Mintra did was actually the most sensible thing, because there is no end to that discussion. So it's better to end that discussion and do it somewhere else. So it's up. So it comes back to us brand custodians, the clients, the people who manage that brand. What fights do you want to take forward and which stands you want to take? Because in today's world, you cannot fight all the battles, but then you will have to choose which wars you want to take forward.
There's another question, which is about recently Omex Media came up with a study that brands are again shifting towards print media. So do you think this is going to affect the digital market? And we need to wrap up the time. Paucity is also there, Shashank. So we need to have quick answers.
Yeah. So I don't know where they did that study, so I'm not aware about that research. They are shifting towards print. I don't think so. because being at least in this market, and at least I was there in India 2 years ago, where we have seen the budgets between traditional and digital. And it's digital gives you opportunity to create multiple things and be a always on kind of a brand, whereas other mediums like especially print and TV, because of its expensiveness and also the time limit you get or the window you get to communicate is reduced. So I'm not aware about that study. At least in my market, it's not happening. Maybe Shashank can speak about India because he's more recent there.
So again, on what consumer you're going after. So for instance, if I am a life boy and I know that a metro is not the place where a life boy would sell. So a tier 2, tier 3 market where newspapers are still in circulation a lot. People still read those newspapers, and digital hasn't yet become a factor that I'm picking up my phone every 5 seconds. It's not happened till that date. And WhatsApp and Facebook are the are the main platforms. So yes, maybe in that case, people are shifting to print because again, on what media are you spending your most time with? However, it will all be defined by where my consumer is. So I also haven't read that report as of yet. However, what I can see is there's always a bifurcation in India, which is the India and Bharat part of it. So Bharat will still remain with those traditional mediums like TV and for that matter, print. So for one example, and there's a lot of things which even our clients say कि अगर TV पे ad नहीं आया तो वो बड़ा नहीं है. Because TV has that status in the minds of the consumer कि TV पे आया है तो बड़ा है. अगर मेरे फोन पे आया है, क्योंकि मेरे फोन पे आपकी कंपनी का एड भी आया और मेरे दोस्त का भी वो आया है, WhatsApp फॉरवर्ड आया, तो I can't differentiate. मेरे दोस्त का WhatsApp forward will never go on TV. So there's a status game as well between a mobile screen and a TV screen. So that also happens accordingly to the consumer you take. However, digital will become the mainstay going forward. And it's not going to be print, radio, television, which was a 20-year-old format. Just 15 pe hi aap ad chalate. Now you just have to look at all of the other things and upcoming things. Like Snapchat was something which was very, very adamant. All the clients were like, "Hame Snapchat pe kuch karna hai." Now, none of the clients are asking us to do on Snapchat. It has become more Instagram, Reels, TikTok, Discord for that matter. So things will keep changing. It's up to you where you want to be.
So we do have many questions, but I think there is a time limit and there's a positive time. So what I can do is some of the questions I can mail you to Shashank and Alok, and you can respond to that on the mail. The students are very keen to ask a lot of questions today. Now,
Take one or two
thank you so much, Shashank. Pardon?
I'm just saying, ma'am, if time allows, we can take a couple of more than happy to answer questions.
Then I'll have to ask Amrish sir.
Yeah, you can take 1-2 questions more.
Okay, so Ansh Pandey is asking, will regulating the social media affect social media campaigns and advertising?
Wow, I'm really surprised by this question. So, Ansh, regulating social medias will. So the thing is that we, as of now, don't know how those regulations are going to happen. Like, it's mostly again comes back to the fact that what do you think is right and wrong according to the law? That I can't, for that matter, if a regulation comes that I can't talk about religion in my advertising, or for that matter, nobody can talk about any religious sentiments which are getting hurt, or for that matter, any sentiment which on a community you feel is going to be threatened. I can't talk about that. So yes, those social media regulations will also affect how brands speak. However, we will not be limited to it, because as we have seen progressions of technology and social media in general, is that from just high five, which started the social media, the first platform that started the social media craze. Everybody wanted to be on high five. This is 2006-7. Then came Orkut, then came Facebook. and now suddenly you have a barrage of things. Like Twitter is there, but there's an Indian Twitter as well, which is called Koo. So advertising on different platforms will take different meanings. So you will have the single message, but uske renditions will change. Somewhere you will talk in a different way, somewhere you will talk in a different way. It's almost like saying I'm talking in Bengali on one language and I'm talking in Marathi on a different platform. But the message remains the same. How do you take it forward is again the juxtaposition of messages and the aim you want to take forward to the consumer. So yeah, things will change. However, as of now, when in those regulations come, that is how it's going to define.
Yeah, and also to add to that, so I was saying like it's all about people. If people are on the platform and brand thinks these are the best medium for them to reach out there, then the brands will keep spending. If people are losing out of the platform, if they are boycotting, like there was like delete Facebook campaign which was happening, and a lot of people switched off the Facebook. And if that happens, those kind of things happen where people are moving out of Twitter and these platforms, then of course it will affect brands. But as long as people are there and these regulations are not against people to do certain activity on these platforms, and people choose to stay, then of course brand will also choose to stay. Yeah.
I think that's it for this session. Now I invite our HOD, Dr. Sushmita Bala, to give her comments on this session. Ma'am.
Thank you, Krishna ma'am. Actually, it's a very interesting session. बहुत ही अच्छा सेशन रहा. इसमें बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस और उनके आंसर्स आपने दिए. So advertising is a very hard working field actually. If someone is creative, someone is have idea to do he wants or she wants, can create, can try for this. We have shared lots of examples. Lots of examples with variety. So for that only, idea, skills, creation, much more is required for in this field, for advertising field. अभी आपने जैसे क्वेश्चंस के आंसर दिए, आपने बहुत सारी चीजें शेयर की, तो students have lots of questions for you, but we have not much more time. So thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Alok and Shashank, for sharing your idea, sharing your PPT, and imparting knowledge for our students, with our students. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. And before I invite Dr. Sinam Bora for the thanks note, Amrish sir, last word from you.
I think there's nothing more to say. The session was really good, particularly the kind of videos, variety of videos from different perspectives, from political advertisement to cold drink advertisement to cola advertisement. Student would have got, I mean, the wide spectrum of examples. And that is what makes the advertising interesting. And I also believe personally that it's the most creative field. But then obviously your mind has to be fertile. I mean, creativity is definitely has to be there, but then you have to read a lot. You have to be well versed with whatever is happening around. That is how some idea will click to your mind. It's all about ideas. Obviously, execution is equally important, but then ideas, I believe, are much more important. So you have to have a fertile mind to think of something new, something out of the box, and then you have to see to this that how this can be realized. So it would definitely be beneficial to all the students who wish to, who aspire to make a career in advertising. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Alok and Mr. Shashank, for imparting such kind of knowledge and information with the students.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I invite Dr. Tina Bora to give the thanks note.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it was indeed a very interesting session. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Alok and Mr. Shashank for making time out of their very busy schedules to come and take this session today for our students. And thank you so much for the lovely session. I'm sure our students must have learned a lot from it. I would like to thank the management of DME and Professor Ravikant Swami, the director of DME, for enabling us to organize this event for the students and the training and placement cell on behalf of the training and placement cell. And we are always grateful to Amrish sir and Bala ma'am for their constant support and encouragement, and without whom we could not have done this. And I'm also thankful to Krishna ma'am for coordinating this entire event, for coordinating with the guest and preparing everything. Krishna ma'am is the convener of the training and placement cell. Thank you, ma'am, for taking this initiative. And also thank you, dear students, and all my faculty colleagues for joining us today. And also before leaving, I would also like to mention to all our students that at 3 p.m. today, we are having one more event, which is being organized by the Student Council of DME Media School, Spark. It's a celebration of the World Day Against Child Labor. So I request all the students, all the faculty members to please join us at 3 p.m. today. And that's it. Thank you all, and have a nice day.
DME has embraced digital paradigm shift by adopting technology-based learning.
Unlike other colleges, we adopted a two-step strategy. In step 1, teachers would be preparing the videos, students would be watching them. In step 2, the student would be coming to the tutorial, clarifying the doubts, making the presentations, and discuss with the teacher.
At DME, we have invested in the best in the class academic ERP, which allows us to have a 360-degree robust communication amongst all the stakeholders, students and faculty members.
DME's virtual learning mechanism is no less than real-time classroom teaching,
wherein the students are provided the pool of e-learning resources in the form of PPTs, video lectures and online classes in a very student-friendly environment.
There is no need of mental blocks. Online teaching is as effective and interesting as offline teaching. Let the students enjoy this new mode of education.
In DME, we believe in quality education. We take care of our students. We want to see them happy.
Mental and emotional health are one of the most challenging issues of present times. DME Mentoring Cell takes care of that. Not just this, we go beyond academic curriculum to instill the most important employability skills in our students.